Hi guys, welcome back to Orange Hedgehog. In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques of not only how to vectorize your sketches, but also how you can add color to them. These techniques are really fun and easy, so let's dive in. The best sketches to use for vectorization are black and white, highly contrasted drawings, like I have here. I've taken a photo of them, imported it into Photoshop, and I'm going to show you what I do to get them ready to be vectorized. First things first, let's rasterize this layer, because when you import something into Photoshop, by default, it leaves it as a smart object. Rasterizing it just ensures that we can edit it now. Let's come over to adjustments. If you don't see adjustments, you can come into Windows and tick adjustments. Then I'm going to come to hue and saturation and bring the saturation all the way down. As you can see, when you take a photo of a drawing, the surrounding light kind of has a little tint to it. We don't want it to affect our artwork, so we just need to desaturate the image. Next, come up to levels, where you'll see these little toggles on each end of the peaks. Bring them towards them on either end. What this does is it increases the contrast between the whites and the blacks in your sketch. Now, holding down Shift, I'm going to select all three of my layers, minus the background, and type Command E to merge them into one single layer. Control E if you're on a Windows. I'm going to use the rectangle selection tool to define the edges of the drawing. Type Shift Command I to invert that selection and backspace to delete. Command D to deselect. Okay, now I can still see there's a big difference between the background here, the white of my paper, and the background white there. So I'm going to come back to adjustments, go to curves. Let's make sort of like an S shape here. Bring the top part higher and this part lower. And you can see that now the background is starting to merge a lot more. Holding down Shift, again, select these two layers, Command E to merge them into one. And I'm just going to use an eraser tool. I'm pressing E on my keyboard to bring up the eraser tool and just erasing the excess here. Great. Now this is ready to be vectorized. All I need to do is export this as a JPEG. Let's go ahead and do that now. I don't need to save the Photoshop file. I'm going to now make a new file in Illustrator. An A4 will do. And we're going to drag and drop that black and white drawing we've just prepared. And it's massive. Let's hold down Shift and reduce it in size a little bit. Embed. I'm just going to place it on the dark background so you can see what I'm doing. All right, we're finally ready to vectorize. This will happen when we run these drawings through Image Trace. If you don't see Image Trace, come to Windows and tick Image Trace. It should pop up. Take a look at these settings. The mode is black and white. We're going to be looking at color things in a minute. I'm going to leave everything else as it is and click Expand. So Illustrator has auto-grouped everything into one single piece. If I right-click on it and go Ungroup, you can see that every little piece is its own individual vector. I'm going to click on the white background and remove it. Because there were gaps in the black spaces here, it's removed this piece of the background as well. The same things happened over there. These gaps have allowed the white background to basically leak out and it got deleted. What we can do is type P on your keyboard to bring up the pen tool. Select white for color, and I'm just going to use the pen tool to draw a little shape all along the border of this piece. And when that's done, I'm going to type Shift Command left bracket to send it to the back. And I'll repeat this process for the other part, and similarly for the bottom fish. Pen tool to draw the shape, Shift Command left bracket to send it to back. Yay, we've officially vectorized our sketches. So now we can give it a color. Each of these pieces is an individual vector in itself. So you can spend some time here choosing what colors to give them. Great. Now I'm going to move these aside here and we're going to try this with a colored image. I have this photo of a flower. I'm going to cut her out of the background and I'm going to import the image into the same file here. Let's reduce the size, holding down Shift, embed, and let's run it through image trace again. But this time, I just want to show you, we're going to change the mode to color. And then you can see here, you get a maximum of 30 colors. We're going to ignore white, preview, expand. The result is actually quite a good representation of the original image, but when we zoom in, we can see that it's actually made up of these tiny little puzzle pieces, and each one is its own little vector. Working this way produces files that are very large, so let me show you how you can help that. I'm just going to bring in the same image again, and we're going to run it through image trace once more, but this time we're going to reduce the number of colors. Let's have 7 colors this time. Ignore white, preview, expand. So you can see there's much less detail and the result is a lot more abstract. There are fewer of those puzzle pieces, which means the document is going to be much lighter, but the image is not as photographically accurate. Less colors, like you can see the whole leaf has been smoothed over with one single color, whereas here we have this gradation of color going on. So it depends on what result you're after. Sometimes this actually produces quite interesting results. Last but not least, I've saved the most fun technique until the end. For this, I'm going to use some tracing paper. And remember, each layer is a new color. I'm going to go ahead and make little drawings, which will all make sense in a minute. This technique works really well with if you have Procreate, but I think I'm going to make a whole other video on this. Speaking of which, do subscribe to my channel, you guys. I have a lot of exciting tutorials planned for you, so I would hate for you to miss anything. And if you have any questions or suggestions for me, please let me know in the comments. So as you can see, I'm drawing a little strawberry, and each detail is going on its own layer or its own sheet of tracing paper. Next, I'm going to scan them or take a picture and adjust the contrast in Photoshop as we've seen with the fish sketches earlier. I will then bring it back into our Illustrator file and, as you may have guessed by now, run it through image trace again. As you know, Illustrator auto-groups everything, so we right-click and ungroup, and then select each individual mark and Command-G to group it separately. Next, I'm just going to give them all some color. All right, now we can stack these shapes one on top of the other. Working this way allows you to produce vector artworks that are playful and retain that hand-drawn quality. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Stick around my channel and see you next time.